Good morning, Vietnam. My name is Lucas. I got Hayden with me today, recording another episode of the Bravescast. What is this, number 4?
It's at least 17.
I think so. 4? Definitely not 17.
Definitely not.
We're not
17.
cool enough to have 17 different
No one
casts.
likes us enough for 17.
That's understandable.
So I'm trying to think. Did we have anyone besides Riley and Sergio on this thing?
It was you and me.
Yeah, that was
Riley,
episode 1.
And then Sergio. So
yeah,
this is 4.
so this is 4. Yeah.
Today on the 4th episode of the Bravescast, we've got Seur with us today. Why don't you introduce
Hi.
yourself, Sir?
I'm Seur.
What
You are
an
the worst
introduction.
person we brought. Here, hold on. Because I just realized something. And that's going to be fun for you to edit, because that's the talkie side.
Oh, talkie side. Hi, I'm Seur. I play video games.
Like what?
I play Overwatch sometimes. You guys ever heard of Overwatch? Overwatch is a 6v6 competitive shooter consisting of 2 tanks, 2 DPS, and 2 supports.
If you haven't been able to tell just yet, we got the Walking Reddit post to join us on our podcast today.
That's me.
I regret this decision.
This was Lucas's. Well, no.
This was a joint effort.
It was kind of a, hey, we need someone for the podcast. I had a train of thought, and it just went that way.
Cool. Let's get it out of the way right now. What do you think about musicals?
Musical? You know what? Okay, so... Actually,
what was it called? What's the one I hate? I forget.
Hamilton.
How do you think about Hamilton?
I've never watched it.
Good, don't.
So I can't. I will say I have. So in 8th grade, we went on New York DC trip, right?
Mm-hmm.
We went to DC and we got tickets to Broadway, and I got to see Aladdin. And I had my crush sit next to me.
I know the cameras can't see it or audio listeners, but also we should probably mention we're in a new studio for the video listeners. We'll get on that in a second. But we now have a window over there off all camera, and we've got our Mr. Hamilton Hamill fan himself.
Get out of here.
Hi, Riley.
Get out of here.
That's Riley, guys.
Get out of here. I don't like you.
That camera just saw a hand. Did that camera pick up face
Yeah, that
at all?
one got his face.
That got his face. All right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it would be an awkward photo bomb if he just comes in hands.
Hold on, I have to do something off
Jazz
camera.
hands. Oh, we're losing someone. This is why they need me here. They need someone to pick up the slack.
All right.
No,
Slack. Excuse me, you are the slack.
You're the content. Your content. I am like conductor that semi keeps us on track, or at least gets us continuing when we get off on those 15-minute musical tangents. And
I'm here.
And then Lucas is the one who gets us on those tangents, but creates the content. Where was I? Oh yeah, so we can talk about this new studio.
He was talking about his trip.
Oh yeah, Broadway.
Yeah, so I went to Broadway, right? And I saw Aladdin.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a whole new world to you?
It was like a whole new world. Dare close your
Was
eyes.
that
I love
still? I don't remember the news, but I know they used to do the carpet that flies over the audience. Did they still do that, or
I
did they?
think so. No.
Because I know at one point they had to cancel it because there were serious malfunctions where the carpet actually tipped over. And one of the actors got really injured, if I remember right.
I don't know if that was Broadway. That might have been on Disney.
That might have
That
been.
might have been on property.
Yeah.
It would make sense. Disney isn't a very big fan of safety.
Disney's not a fan of anything.
Disney's a fan
Disney
of
likes
money.
Yeah.
You have fun with the noise suppression during the podcast while I do this, by the way.
Noise suppression. I love noise suppression.
I think I'm just exporting it all into one track. So enjoy the mic adjustment ASMR podcast listeners and or viewers.
I'm gonna bring in a bowl of ramen and eat it directly into the mic.
What I'm trying to think of.
And just go like that.
We got a very upset grin from Mr. Producer, man. I don't think he appreciates.
He doesn't like comedy.
Okay.
John, I'm the boss.
Okay, well, now that we covered that, I think we could talk a little bit about this new studio that we found out was here.
We're in a new studio. We found out that there was an entire recording studio on campus that we were just never told about, which is very us in
Never
fashion.
told about. I'm gonna start ad-libbing. Like you know rappers and songs how they just have a guy in the background ad-libbing. I'm gonna start ad-libbing everything you guys say.
Will not hesitate to strangle you live on podcast.
Cut that out. PG.
No.
Cut it out.
You can talk about strangling in PG-13.
I love strangling.
Strangling in game.
Of course, in a video game.
We're a gaming
In a video
podcast. We can
game.
get away with it.
Anyway, we found out about this recording space, which is significantly better than anything we ever used, which is probably too good for any of us. I will actually. Significantly better than anything we deserve, which is fun. As always, none of us are prepared for anything.
I'm very prepared.
You literally didn't know
I'm
how to
always
introduce
prepared.
yourself.
I'm always prepared. What do you mean? I introduced
Well, no,
myself
this was. I say it was last minute, but me and Riley made plans, and then there were big miscommunications between those plans, and so we kind of ended up coming here without like anyone knowing we were coming here, and then there were people in here, but they were really chill and they let us use. So shout out to those people who were chill enough to just leave so we could make this. I don't want to say that word, but this like crap shoot of a podcast.
You know,
We kicked them out violently.
it was good that they left. They wouldn't have liked it if I got a little irritated.
Shut
You
up.
They wouldn't have liked what would happen if I got a little peeved. one
Well,
would
well,
say.
you know, and, like
Sir, you weigh 12 pounds.
I weigh 12 pounds of pure muscle. You know, I bench your reps.
well, they were
I don't rep, so.
they were speech majors, so they'd probably beat us just by like talking because our antisocial gaming genes would kick in and want to
Speech
run
majors.
away.
You're antisocial.
Yeah.
I'm not.
That's the problem. Sir's very social.
I would have dueled them. The Battle of Wits. You guys ever heard of Duel of the Fates
Oh my
from
god.
Star Wars? That would have been playing in the background. But we had our Battle of Wits.
Oh my god.
I think we might need to invest in some blinds because we're seeing Riley do a lot of emotions through the window.
Can we just have like a little hat that he wears that just covers his face with blinds? I think that would work best.
Have you?
Let's get the esports talk out of the way.
Esports,
Talk
baby.
about Overwatch and whatever Overwatch is doing right
Hey, there's
Oh,
one.
PGI,
Who
bleep
cares?
it.
now. Talk about Overwatch. Do the Overwatch thing. What's happening in Overwatch right now?
So currently in Overwatch, they're actually, they're talking about releasing the beta for Overwatch 2.
I've seen
Which,
a
if you
lot.
don't know, has been in production for like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a stupid idea. I've never been a fan of Overwatch 2.
I was gonna say you play Overwatch professionally.
I can play it and dislike the game. I think that's
Fair.
actually
Well,
how
is
a lot of
it
people
like
are.
I've seen something on like Twitter,
I've
like
never seen
the
a league player
well,
that's happy.
no,
with their
no,
life,
like
so.
social media. It says most like professional gamers literally hate the game
'cause
they
here-
play
here's-
because you have to invest your
Yeah.
whole life, and like at eventually it just doesn't become fun anymore. It becomes work and a grind that you have to keep improving yourself.
I think a lot of things that happen is I think people look over because it's not a physically demanding sport. It's the other demands that come with it.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, like the mental health side. I mean, if you look at the mental health of a lot of players, it's not very good because people don't take it seriously, and that's just something in society.
It's a very aggressive sport
It
when
is.
it comes to peer-to-peer interactions.
It's a lot of because in other sport, like I played lacrosse, I played varsity lacrosse through 4 years. If I'm fresh out on the field, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna hit someone. I can't do that in esports. I can't walk across the desk and slap Tyrell in the face.
I mean,
know?
you can. You'd probably
I
get
can.
What
fined
if we got
for it.
hockey rules for esports?
I would like that. Like
You're
if-
allowed to fight for 5 minutes and then you sit in the penalty box.
There have been so many teams in Overwatch that I've just wanted to fight. We got rule booked last semester because
Mhm.
again, Lump knows this. This isn't me talking behind his back. We tell him all the time. He has a problem with being toxic, like a big problem in matches specifically.
Love it.
So he was trash talking them in the match, and they ended up going through our whole roster, finding out I was on the account I wasn't supposed to be on because we have set accounts. And we got rule booked because I was on the wrong account.
Yeah, I heard about that. But you also talk about toxicity, but let's be honest, toxicity is what makes esports fun.
I think there should be more free toxicity. Like I think teams should
I'm
be
Hockey
able.
rules,
well,
you get to throw
okay.
hands for 30 seconds and
So-
spend 5 minutes
So
in
there's
the penalty box.
there's obviously the fine line between like playful toxicity and just like
Call of
Yeah.
Duty. Well, Call of Duty
Call-
playful toxicity.
Well,
Yeah.
it's
League
like
of
it's like
Legends
here. It's
toxicity,
like
toxicity.
it's like we're not even allowed to teabag.
yeah, it's ridiculous. Like that's fun because like that also builds into the whole like mental game of esports is you're getting into their heads, you're messing with them because a lot of people will tell you when they're mad, they're definitely not playing to their full
That's
potential.
that's
Oh,
what we did in so last semester we had our KWU match where we had just come back from Nagoya sushi place and we were not prepared. We immediately went down 2-0. In all respect to KWU, they're not better than us. They weren't close to us. They couldn't touch us. I think, and that's
With all
just.
respect, this team is trash.
I mean, no, but I met some of the players. I love the players. Vikings specifically.
I have to do something real quick. This
Okay.
podcast is satire. Continue.
For entertainment purposes
I met a
only.
few of their players. Don't get me wrong. Like Viking, their main tank right now. I love that guy. He's great. But no, I mean, any team in KCAC wasn't anywhere close to us, and that's not a fault to them. It's not a fault to their players. It's just, I mean, when you have a team of full GMs against a team of flats, diamonds, I mean, they're not going to come close. But anyway, so we went down 2-0, and we're finally like, okay, we gotta fix this. And our strat is we're going to attack first every single time. We're going to roll them. We're going to 3-0 them with 3 minutes, and they're going to be boomed on their attack. And that's exactly what happened. We attacked, and then attacked, and then attacked or I guess last map was King of the Hill, so there's not really an attacking side. But we attacked first on the first map, and then attacked first on the second. And I think we capped Route 66 with like 3 minutes. We capped the next point with like 4 minutes. And when you're getting rolled like that, I mean,
your mental's
gone.
Yeah.
It's 100% a mental game.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a worse team, boom your mental, and just be done.
It's like the Harlem Globetrotters. Where like they're not like amazing basketball players, but damn if they put on a good show.
You got a midget being lifted on a 7-foot guy dunking on you, and you're out of it, bro.
Okay, so I'll be real. I'm not a like actual basketball fan. Isn't that like scripted though? Like a lot of it.
I think some of it is. It's like WWE kinda.
No, that's 100%. Well,
what I remember, I'm not the sports person, and it's been a long time since I've watched Harlem Globetrotters anything. From what I remember, like the pre-show is scripted, obviously, and then like the first couple of minutes of the show or the first couple of minutes of the game are scripted, and then thrown in there's like actual game.
So, what it says online is the antics that they do. They're not going to actively try to defend the antics, but they are trying in the games when they're on offense and defense.
So it's like a legit game.
The games aren't fixed.
So like some legit game with some ad libs thrown in.
I'm pretty sure no one's beat the Harlem Globetrotters. I think they're undefeated technically.
Well, I mean, probably.
Another thing to look up.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they are. I'm a big basketball fan.
I don't care about basketball in the slightest.
Do you guys watch any sports?
I barely watch the sport I participate in.
I'm a football guy, and then I try and watch baseball, but baseball season's always
okay. So they've lost 345 games over the course of 9 decades. However, with 27,000 wins, they own the best winning percentage of .987 in the history of professional sports.
I think at that point it's more of a like. This is almost the exact opposite of esports, by the way. If you have a team that just clowns the entire time, I feel like going against.
Do that too.
Well, no, like hear me out. When you're going against the Globetrotters, I feel like the opposing team almost just wants to play along because you're going against the Globetrotters. Yeah. It's like it's amazing. You're gonna have fun, so just have fun with it. Yeah. Whereas if you're going against a team in esports that's like known for clowning hardcore, oh, you're pissed.
And the thing is that the clowning works because specifically in Overwatch. Because you go through and you have set comps you play, you have set comps you practice against, and so when someone runs an off comp, that throws you off. Like yesterday, we played a team that I don't think was better than us at all. I think they were a lot worse than us, personally. But they came out on like the weirdest comp I've ever seen of like Orisa, Diva, Genji. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. But it's like comps like that just completely throw you off your game plan because you've never played against it. That's why scrimming. That's why a lot of teams blacklist teams that don't play normal comps because they don't want to play against them because A, you're never gonna play against that comp unless you play that team, and B, like it's really frustrating when they play like bad characters and get away with it.
I think that's kind of big baby though to like blacklist a team for that.
Well,
it's like what that looks like to an outsider.
It's less about the trolling. It's more about like why are we gonna play against a team that's gonna one trick this one comp that we're never gonna play against.
Well, that's the thing though, is that so coming from the outsider's perspective of how I see other sports is, oh, they're blacklisting that team because they play differently. Well, then why don't they just learn how to play against that? And then I'm like, well, okay, so then they're just being prudes about it. And they're just like, they're gonna beat you, so you're not even gonna bother playing them. Yeah. It's almost like I get where you're coming from with it, and that's obviously the truth of it. But like from the outsider's perspective, I think it looks bad.
Yeah, I mean, I've never blacklisted any team really. I mean, I've been finding our scrims lately. There hasn't been a team that I'm pretty sure we've been blacklisted a few times.
Oh yeah, our COD team probably.
Yeah, the COD team has been blacklisted. I know the Overwatch team has been blacklisted by a team or two because, again, a lump. But
That's the problem. Was when I came into college, I almost was like I almost competed for Overwatch, and this was when I like played Overwatch as a hobby. I didn't realize that like if you want to play a game professionally, you have to hate yourself. And I was like, well, if I'm gonna do this, I want to do this and have fun. I don't want to like be good at the game.
yeah,
I want to be there to have fun. And then I realized like, oh, no one else is of that mindset
no, I mean,
unless there's like specific teams for it,
yeah.
which that won't be.
I had a team. It was we called ourselves the Gonk Droids. We played 3 matches. We each had a one trick. So in our matches, we ran Bastion Torb, Mercy Ana, Winston Hogg, and we didn't lose a single map. We weren't playing like some bad teams. We were playing like Masters GM teams.
Right.
And again, that's where it comes out of you roll out in this comp, and they look at you like, and they have no idea how to play against it, and so you just roll them. You just walk over these guys. And we got blacklisted by all 3 teams. I got messages after saying, "Hey, we don't want to scrim against you guys again. We're gonna blacklist you." I'm like, "Aight, bro."
And it's always fun in like games like that with Overwatch, where you do have all these different heroes and characters with their own like special skill sets. Where if someone does get good enough on like a one-trick account, like a good Bastion, realistically, it takes a even better team like synergy and playing together to counter that one good Bastion.
You guys want to hear the story of Poo Poo Eater?
Hit me with it.
Might as well.
Poo Poo Eater is a notorious GM Masters player. We like to joke that he main tank diffed our former main tank Squeak. That's not really a joke. He actually did. Main tank diffs Tyrell too. Main tank diffs everyone. But basically what this guy does is he will hard shield all the way around the flank and then just charge into your backline. And it works because comp is full of inters. So if you just int with the inter, you win.
Love it. I think this is an idea that I just thought of, and I think we should do this because it'd be funny. We should make a team within Ottawa Braves that's just purely for clowning, like every single game.
Mm-hmm.
Like doesn't matter the game type or whatever. Like we just like instantly. I think it'd be funny.
No, I mean that's how it has to be. I
Like,
think
we have like the same group of like 5 or 6 people, and they'll be like, "Oh, there's a tournament for this coming up. These people are entering. Well, we'll see how this." I want the tagline of that team to be, "We'll see how this goes." I want it to be just pure fun.
So you talk about this, and this makes me think of like multiple ways you can play different esports. And the thing that really came to my mind was like Rocket League, because if you look into like Rocket League, you see different types of like I say tourneys, but at least players where you've got like the actual professional teams that compete in like RLCS stuff like that, or like our team that we have here. And then you also get like players who aren't as focused on like the actual gameplay side, and they want to show off their mechanics, and that's where you get into like the freestylers and freestyle competitions. And it's always fun to see like that expand to like other games and see people kind of play it their own way. And I think that would be really fun to see more in like the esports field and see more of those like Harlem Globetrotter like teams.
I think that would be a really fun, like not even. I feel like putting it in its own division defeats the purpose, though.
Yeah.
I feel like more teams integrated like that would be a lot of fun.
You know, if you look at professional Overwatch, that's how the Guangzhou Charge were. They were the team that was full of just during the GOATS meta.
It was
the GOATS meta. They were the ones who invented Death Ball, which was the 4 DPS Hammond 1 support.
They were the like in that era
or 2 supports.
Like I wasn't like the biggest whatever. I wasn't like the biggest fan of them, but it was always fun like tuning into one of their matches and just seeing what BS they came up with for that week. And like they weren't like arguably like the best team, but like they were easily the most watchable.
They were the most fun to watch, especially during GOATS meta, because they were the only ones who ran actual DPS at times, and like that's what everyone wanted to see. Like that's why Roll Lock was introduced, because Overwatch League viewership tanked, whereas GOATS was the most fun meta to play.
Yes.
Without a doubt, it was the most fun meta to play.
If you knew what you were doing, it was really fun.
That's why you
like,
still have GOAT tournaments of just people only playing GOATs. I'm in a Discord server where all they do is run GOATs Pugs because it's a fun meta to play. It just sucks watching. It's not fun to watch.
Because there's nothing like super crazy plays
you're
that
not
you
seeing,
get with like
you're not
the
seeing
Genji
like,
6 blades or the Widow like
not
4
seeing
headshots.
Saya players switch to Widow, come out and hit 4 headshots, and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah. Speaking of Saya, he plays Valorant now.
He does play. I saw him
He's
yesterday.
Cracked. And Lucas, I don't know if you know this, but he plays for the LA Guard, which is the team. Our former Valorant coach, MCE Matt. He is now the professional coach for their team, and I know they play like they've already qualified for VCT, but like
they're not losing another game.
They're going off, dude.
You started talking about Valorant. I'm out.
Sorry.
the thing with Saya specifically in Overwatch is he was really good at hit scan, but he didn't provide what other players provided. Like, you're going to have guys who can play all the hit scans, but they're also going to be able to play Mei and Reaper. Saya can't do that. So I'm not saying Saya's a bad player, but he did just get outclassed in Overwatch League. And I'm going to make a bold statement here. I think out of all the FPS genre games, I think Overwatch is genuinely the hardest pro scene to get into. Because here's the thing. You're not only learning how to, aim and then use your abilities like in Valorant, let's say. Like where it's game sense, you have your ability in your team play. You're learning how to play a multitude of heroes, ranging from hit scan to a Mei to a Reaper, having to know all those things like perfectly, having to know positioning perfectly, while also having to deal with the enemy team throwing 6 ults at you, how to counter those ults, how to play against those ults, how to push on every single map, which currently Overwatch eclipses Valorant in maps, eclipses most FPS games in maps. Now, I think again,
we say that, but Blizzard, please give us another map.
I want another map, Blizzard, please.
There better be at least 5 on the Overwatch 2 drop.
I will say, in my opinion,
I
think the hardest esports game overall is like League. I think League is, or Dota. Dota's really hard too.
Dota. Okay, so
it's between League and Dota.
Here's the argument I've seen.
But I don't like either, so
yeah,
I don't care.
I'm kind of doing that, but the argument I've seen is Dota has like the hardest what is it, skill curve, or what would they call it? Like,
it's skill curve.
Yeah, and where basically
or learning curve.
Learning curve. That's the word I was looking for. But it's got like you drop into the game and they expect you to know like 95% of what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And it's like getting good at that game is spending the time learning that 95% and then taking it further.
See, that's the problem that both League and Dota have. Their tutorials aren't sufficient enough to teach you about the game.
It's because those games have been around forever, and the people that like, if you don't have like an inherent deep interest in League or Dota, you're not gonna play it.
Yeah.
And the people that don't have that interest, are the people that are the people that would really
it's
need
taken me. It's taken me
tutorial.
like at least 100 levels just to get to the point where I'm like, okay, I think I sort of understand laning phase.
See, and like, this is where you start talking about like phases and stuff, and that's not even like that's a whole complex thing as itself. Then you also have to start learning like your different roles, how they play, how to play around other roles.
Yeah.
You have to learn all like what I think we learned on Jeopardy the other day. It was like 158 legends.
150. I'm still so mad I missed that question.
We should talk about that as well.
You should have gave me that.
So what was that, Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
Are we time stamping that? Well, no, we're not saying.
Well, no, because
it was Friday.
It was Friday.
It was
Friday. Because we're gonna record this afterward.
Friday, we recorded a Jeopardy video that there's a very strong chance won't see the light of day.
We're gonna try our absolute hardest to at least have
we should
some
just
footage.
release the first 15 minutes where we weren't playing it.
Like the first 15 minutes is the bit that worries me.
You're saying the first what? I think that recording was 45. The first 50 minutes worries me.
Yeah, so we recorded for like I think we were in that room like once everyone was situated. We were in that room for almost 2 hours or something. I think.
It
might have been like an hour and a half.
I think filming was about 45 minutes, So yeah, probably about an hour and a half.
Yeah, so from that entire thing, not just counting the recording, from that entire hour and a half session, if we were to be recording that entire time, there was probably less than 30 minutes of usable footage.
I would get canceled on Twitter.
Oh yeah, Seur would be off. He would be deplatformed.
You know what? I've been deplatformed.
So the
before.
idea of it was a Jeopardy video, obviously. And then the Jeopardy video turned into two idiots who didn't know how to play Jeopardy trying to answer questions.
Absolutely steamrolled.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the thing with Vexy is that Toki and I were just having fun.
That's true.
And you know what? I love Vexy. Vexy doesn't like to have fun.
Vex likes to win.
He likes to try. It was the same with the scrapped Twitter video we did over Christmas break, where I specifically remember a clip from that where he was doing like mental manipulation, where it's like, I think this was this, when it was his own tweet and he knew it, and he was just making sure other people didn't score on that.
Oh, I just want to make it very clear on this podcast, against our Valorant team, which are all, masters to Radiant players, I went 12-12 in that game. I went an even 500 and got a quad kill in a round. Got 4 kills. And the only reason that I did not ace that round was because I didn't have a headset, and so they planted the bomb, and it was literally a 50-50 guess on where Kaya was. And I went to a site, and it was not the right site.
Unlucky.
As much as it was like an accidental bad pairing for that video, like you, Toki, and Vex, I think it was good.
I think it was
I'll be honest.
If it was
if we could, like, I know we can't get away with this because obviously we're at college, but
we'll see what we can get
we're
away
gonna
with.
we're gonna try. But if we recorded that for like my own personal channel or even like Lucas's, I guarantee if we like advertise that properly, that video gets easy like a couple thousand videos. That's a good.
Not necessarily because it's clever and funny.
No,
but because it was just so
for
chaotic.
anyone who I don't know if I can reference it in case any admin are watching it, but I probably shouldn't. So
I don't know. There was something I was gonna say, and I can't remember what it is now because we split off on so many different tangents.
Welcome to the Bravescast.
Oh, we were talking about Overwatch, and I was gonna say because we were talking about like team combos that are just like so unseen that like no one knows how to play against them.
Yeah.
That reminded me back in the early days when I played Overwatch before there was hero limits.
Yeah.
And you can't change
6
heroes now.
Symmetras.
Yeah, I know, right? This was back when that was a thing.
Remember did you ever see the 6-monkey clip? The 6-man monkey clip?
I think
where
I did.
they're on Oasis and they've capped the point and they're at like 10% and they're like, where's the enemy team? And suddenly you just see 6
Yeah, I've
monkeys
seen that clip.
jump
That clip's
over the
amazing.
top of the thing. I love that
Oh,
clip.
God. But
I love monkeys.
this wasn't my joke because everyone did this joke because it worked so well. But my all-time favorite thing was playing Bastion, and Bastion's my absolute favorite hero to play in Overwatch.
Back when he had his shield.
No, even now I still think Bastion's stupidly fun. Like there's heroes in that game that are like, they're fun, but also it's like they're meant to be more competitive than anything. Bastion is like he's just fun, and people get angry at that. People are angry that I have fun.
Bastion players call Bastion broken, but in all reality, it just like takes 2 or 3 people communicating.
Here's the
It
thing.
takes one person knowing what they're doing.
Here's the thing: is like the problem with Overwatch, and like I don't want this to come off as like elitist of haha I'm better than you, but the problem with
We've already
Overwatch,
thrown other teams under the bus, so might as well.
they should have been better then. I don't know. But like the thing is, well, it's just because I have a lot of low rank friends, and I'm not like trying to like talk down to them. But the problem is there's such a rank discrepancy in Overwatch that like what someone in gold finds overpowered is also like the worst character in the game. Like take Reaper. Take Reaper and Doomfist.
Yeah, Doomfist was a really good.
Take Reaper and Doomfist, 2 of the worst DPS in the game.
But you go down to like silver,
you go down
gold.
into gold, silver,
If you've got-
even plat.
If you've got someone who knows like the basic gameplay mechanics of those characters, they will hard carry plat lobbies.
And like it's so hard to like sometimes explain that to people because like it's actually really hard being good at Overwatch.
It's so hard being better than all the rest of you out there.
It actually is because like whenever I try to explain things, I feel like I'm coming off like just as like an asshole, essentially.
Hey, add it to the counter.
I mean, I don't know how else to describe it.
I had a realization, by the way, because
Yeah.
I did some researching about, because the guidelines that we're going by are PG-13 TV.
We have one F word. We get
No,
one
that's
F word.
PG-13 movie.
Yeah, movie.
You can't say the F word on daytime television.
Yeah.
It's so lame.
It's sad. I tried. That's why I pushed for PG-13 because I thought it was a single F word and I couldn't get away with it.
I realized Hell and Damn don't have to be censored. Like even on primetime television, they don't have to be censored. And all the variations, it depends on the context, but can still be uncensored even when used in not a derogatory way. What's the word I'm thinking of? In an attacking way, depending on how it is. Usually that is up to the network.
I don't think it's like...
Well, see, and when we talk about network, you have to remember we're a Christian school, so...
I love God.
Bless up.
Oh, God. Oh, I was going to... I didn't even get to the thing I was going to say. The joke that literally every Bastion player used to do, and that would just, like, primetime piss everybody off, and it was perfect, is, like, this... Back before it was roll select, people would just be screaming, "We need a tank! We need a tank!"
Oh, Bastion.
And then block Bastion, and then they're like, "Dude, I said a tank, not DPS."
Have you ever seen the Bastion video? And I can't quote it all but he goes like, "Bastion is not just a play style; it's a way of life." I love that video so much.
There's so many good videos.
We're all whenever we talk about early Bastion, I remember like prototypes where Bastion was instead of a tank was originally planned to be a helicopter. And I don't remember if there were any actual like gameplay builds of this, but all I can think of is just tank form, but with like Echo's left shift, and he just flies around with full control.
God.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think the Overwatch team knows what they're doing.
I don't think anyone here knows what we're doing.
You know what the biggest problem with Overwatch compared to other games is?
It's garbage.
Besides that,
it makes you
even have League of Legends where they require some of their people that work on their game to be diamond or above.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Valorant. They require some of their people to play their game at a high level. Overwatch doesn't have that. They have players that are like gold, plat, only play quick play. I doubt they have a single GM or top 500 on there. And that's like the biggest problem, because when you have a game with a multitude of ranks, you have to do the tough thing and ignore the lower ranks, because the lower ranks don't know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And Overwatch tries to please all the ranks, which you can't do, because frankly the lower ranks don't know enough about the game to know what's good about the game.
And that's why they're the lower ranks.
So here's how we fix this, because I've had this thought. Right now, in most this is like every competitive game. Right now you have two ways to play the game. You have free play or casual or whatever that game calls it.
You have arcade.
Arcade, yeah, whatever.
Quick play, whatever.
Whatever they call it, and then you have competitive. I say we split it into three. You have this will make sense, and I think you'll be on board. You have your quick play, which is just the game. It's just how the game is. You have competitive training, which is the rules are changed. Some of the stats are changed. Little things are changed to work better for competitive, except there's no like competitive.
You don't have the risk of losing SI.
Yeah. It's not. All the requirements and risks that come with competitive play are not there.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I think there would be like a level cap on being able to play competitive training.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would just have. I mean, you're gonna have Smurfs, but that's any
You have
game.
people who try hard in quick play.
Yeah.
Quick play warriors, baby.
Yeah, God. And then you have competitive, which is just competitive. And what I think this does is it gives you your two lanes.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you your competitive people, or it gives you your casual gamers, where the team can dedicate time tuning the game to the casual player. You would also have two teams for this, like two tuning testing teams. You have your casual players who play by the casual rule set, and like maybe to use Overwatch. I know like next to nothing about Overwatch because I stopped paying attention like 3 years ago.
Most people did.
Yeah, but so I'm just gonna use broad generalizations that might have been true 3 years ago. You have your casual players playing by the rule set of like Bastion has a lower RPM fire rate, and does a little bit less damage. Reaper does a little bit less damage on average. Maybe has a little bit higher cooldown times on things. The problems that the casuals are complaining about get fixed, but those fixes stay in casual. And then you have your two competitive lanes, and then the changes that are made there are completely separate from your casual. And so you're essentially listening to the two separate communities.
The only problem with that is you have to think about the amount of work that they'd have to do.
Yeah, so
You'd have to have two separate production and...
What has Blizzard been doing for the past 3 years of any value?
I mean, it's true.
Aside from Overwatch
I just
2.
think all they need to do is...
Well, you also have to realize how fast they're losing workers because of the thing.
Everything, yeah.
Hey.
I think it would work.
I think Activision, or not Activision, Microsoft buying is the best thing that could have happened.
Definitely.
That's something else I want to talk about. But I was going to say...
we just got... There's a little window over there. I don't know if that camera picked it up, but there was a nice-looking Sergio who just peeked through.
oh, Lord, what was I going to say? Whatever, I'll transition to the other thing. So, since we're talking about the Microsoft acquisition, I had a deep think about it. Microsoft is such a bag of geniuses for how they did it. Specifically how they did it. Because Microsoft, if you've been kind of paying attention for a while, Microsoft has been wanting to get a few things. They've been wanting to have a few more game development studios under their belt. Because you look at, like, God, what's another big one that has, like, a ton of...
Sony.
Yeah, Sony, who has, like, a ton of game development studios. And it's not really the case anymore, but Microsoft is still kind of Sony's rival. What it really is now is Microsoft is absolutely wiping the floor with Sony, and Sony's crying. But
I think as soon as you buy Bethesda and make it so that only PC and Xbox, and like here's the thing about Sony is Sony's so elitist in the fact they don't even want PC players to have their game.
It's so stupid.
Microsoft is like, because Microsoft also makes a lot of the computers and stuff, to be fair. But Microsoft is also like, here, we're going to make our games console exclusive, but PC, you can also have them.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to end up hurting Sony in the long run. I guarantee if they release Bloodborne right now on PC, they're making more money off that than they would have made with any of their exclusives.
Cough.
Almost ever
The
made.
Bungie deal. Cough.
Well, what I was going to say about that, what I'm going to say about that specifically, is look at God of War. Because God of War was a PlayStation 4 exclusive for such a long time, and that was a huge barrier for why people didn't buy it. God of War sold really well.
Yeah.
Like, just without a doubt, it sold really well. But then it came to PC, and I'm pretty sure it doubled its profits, like almost immediately.
Here's the thing is, I've never heard a more requested PC game than Bloodborne.
Of course, everyone wants Bloodborne.
You talk to anyone and they're all like, and then you're like, what game do you want on PC? I guarantee you 99% of people are going to say Bloodborne.
Tetris.
If they release
Shut up.
If they release Bloodborne
Pokemon
on Steam or whatever they want to do, I mean, I guarantee they make more money off that than any other exclusive they would have ever released ever on their console.
100%. I think what Sony needs to do is they need to get over themselves.
Yeah.
And just go open platform like Microsoft.
Like here's the thing, is you can go open platform and still not allow it on the other console, which is what Microsoft does.
Yeah.
They're not going to give Halo to PS4, but they'll give it to PC.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do. Like, cut off, make it still so it's a console barrier, but it's not a PC barrier.
So essentially what we're saying is let the console plebs cry.
Yeah.
And we'll be fine.
I mean, the only problem with that is
Sony moves to PC games, and then Windows just like Microsoft updates Windows to where it just turns all PlayStation games into a virus to crash their
for
sales.
whatever reason, I thought you were going to say Sony develops their own OS, and then we finally have like a fourth competitor.
Sony buys out Linux and recreates it for
what about the Steam Deck? The Steam Deck, baby.
So we'll get to that. I wanted to make my original point. Microsoft's acquisition of Activision. Yeah, Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard.
You got there.
Shut up. It was just the smoothest move they could have pulled.
Yeah.
In the specific way that they did it, because they've been wanting more development studios. Activision Blizzard owns a ton of studios, not just like their main like 5, because those 5 studios own more studios. And the whole Activision Blizzard scandal happens, and Activision Blizzard loses all of their profit share
Mhm.
and just is not worth anything anymore. But Microsoft comes in and sees,
Microsoft planted the woman.
cut.
Do we have to cut that? That was
No, that's
funny.
probably fine.
That was funny.
That's so fun.
Well, ask Sergio. He's in the room.
Hey, Sergio, do we have to cut that? I don't think they're listening. I think they have it turned off.
Lame.
Anyway, they come in at this perfect time and they acquire all these studios, and now Microsoft just has. I have to phrase that carefully because I almost got another section cut. They just have like the most bragging rights now. They have so much stuff that they can fund, and with how cool Microsoft has
It just popped into my head what you wanted to say.
Yeah, you know what I was saying, right? But like, they have with how Microsoft how cool Microsoft has been right now as like a game development publisher. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if like the next within like a year or two, I think we're gonna have another video game renaissance. We've been going through a pretty good spot right now.
I
think for the next true video game renaissance, we need another. I don't know about renaissance.
I want full body feeling. I want full body.
They have stuff like that.
I know why you want that, you sicko.
I want it.
They actually have like, I know at least they sell their like $600 or $700. It's like the VR vest.
Yeah, like the VTubers have. Shout out to VTubers. That's where all my.
I was wondering
are.
when that was gonna come up.
Love you, babe. I don't know.
Who's your favorite? Yeah, I was gonna say, who's your favorite?
There's this girl that wears like a shark onesie.
Oh, there's shark one. Yeah.
I know that one.
I'm sad because I know the name. It's Gura.
Yeah, I know that one.
Well, yeah, because Agura's a meme though.
Yeah.
Gura's like a meme that transcends.
But I'm not happy about it.
You guys know the greatest video game meme of all time? It's Leroy Jenkins. That is the single.
When it becomes a Family Guy joke, that's how you know it's transcended.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you can even put it in title of greatest, just because it's like the definition of gaming meme.
Don't play it over the microphone if that's what you're about to do, because that's gonna screw up the.
I can put it in post if that's what you're about to do.
No, I wanted to look it up because I remember if we're talking about Family Guy, Diva also got a brief mention on Family Guy. Peter dressed up as.
I've seen that clip somewhere.
That. Yeah.
I thought that was Photoshop.
I don't think people remember how big 2016 to 2018 Overwatch was. I had guys who I only played NBA 2K with, and they're like, "Yeah, we know Overwatch."
Yeah, it's because it was like.
Because it was actually built by good Blizzard, before Activision. It was Blizzard who made World of Warcraft, the classic games that everyone
Blizzard
knew.
I was proud of to give
Exactly.
I've been getting into classic World of Warcraft. I've been playing the Burning Crusade.
I've never touched that game.
Sorry.
I've never touched that game because
you'll never. It's like RuneScape but worse.
I haven't touched RuneScape either, thankfully. But
it's one of those games that you start playing and they're like, it's 4 a.m.
You want to know my least proud gaming hours?
What?
I had 785 hours in 2K19 alone.
That's upsetting.
In that one alone.
I'm judging you.
And the next one, 2K20, I had 500 hours in. I had like 540. In just those two games alone. Now, the most recent one, it slowly went down. 2K21, I had like 200 hours in. This current one, I have like 50 in.
I think my most is probably CSGO.
Isn't 2K19 the one with the god-awful voice acting? Like the joke level of voice acting?
No,
because basketball players just don't know how to act.
That was the older ones.
I think you're talking about.
No, that was 2019.
No, I think you're talking about Space Jam.
No, that's a great movie, and I'll not have it slandered on my podcast.
The remade one.
Oh yeah.
I don't think people realize that the first Space Jam really wasn't that good either.
How dare you?
It's definitely not the best
movie,
movie, but it's definitely better than the new one.
I never watched the new one.
Don't watch the new one.
It's not good.
What's the worst recent movie that you guys have watched?
Oh, I don't watch.
Oh, this is gonna
many
catch
movies,
me a ton of
but
flack. It wasn't a bad movie at all, but I don't like the new Suicide Squad.
Really?
It's a good movie.
I agree.
think it's a very good movie. I don't.
It's well written, but from like personally, I had nothing against the first Suicide Squad. I
I hated the first one.
I hear a lot of people said that I actually enjoyed the first Suicide
The
Squad.
first Suicide Squad is a bad movie.
I enjoyed
but
it.
I enjoyed
for the,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. For
Maybe that just is more about our taste in movies, about how we
maybe
like.
also just have bad taste.
Yeah,
I've
maybe
been
we
told
have
multiple times.
Maybe we have bad
which is
taste, but
fine.
we enjoy them because they're comedically bad movies.
See, here's the thing: is like, the first one was good for 1 or 2 watch throughs. I tried to sit through it again after I watched the second one. I'm like, I don't remember it being that bad. I got like maybe halfway through the movie, and I've never seen it. You know what the worst recent movie I've seen, and again I might catch. I didn't like Shang-Chi or Shang-Chi. I didn't like that movie. It was one of the newer Marvel movies.
Oh.
And like it was the big one because it was like the all Asian cast and like Asian main characters.
It was basically the Black Panther for Asians.
Yeah.
I hate that I make that comparison, but like
You're not wrong. Are you leaving? Bye. Oh, I guess he's
Riley's
leaving.
gonna come in.
You've got us muted
All
in
right.
there. We're just trying to say bye, and we
Okay,
won't.
I gotta bounce.
All right,
Yeah,
bye.
You remember how to close it out?
Nope, we'll get it figured out.
Message me if you need it.
Nope.
Okay.
Riley
but-
Boyd, everyone.
I was gonna say, like, we're having this movie talk now. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
I'm so disappointed in modern Pixar.
What new movies have they released? I don't know.
Exactly.
I think
It used to be before
what's
like
that
Toy
anime? What's
well,
that?
not Toy Story
What's
4.
that studio that makes all the like pets?
Is that Blue Sky?
Yes.
I hate them. They make like soulless cash grab movies, and people
Blue Sky
love
used to
them.
be good.
They did.
What's the? There's a really good one. I don't remember. It's like one of the It's one of those anime. It's called Mitchell's versus Machines or something like
I
that.
think that's DreamWorks.
DreamWorks. I was gonna say that's a really good movie.
I have a weird relationship with
I
that
like
movie.
Monsters vs Aliens.
That movie is garbage.
Bro, you're
That one's
taking
good.
me back. Monsters
I
versus.
like when he has the keyboard scene. He's like, bah, bah.
Mm.
Oh,
playing
did you guys
Crazy
ever
Frog.
watch? Like it was the movie about the chimps that go to like a new planet.
I know what that movie is. I can't remember what
I
it's
can't
called.
remember. And
I
like
hate that movie.
I
so
love
much.
that movie. That
It's
movie's
so funny because it's bad. But it's like good bad.
We
It's
talk.
like Cat in the Hat bad.
If we're talking about
Cat in
like
the Hat is good.
I love
okay,
Cat in the Hat.
well yeah, Cat in the Hat was that movie that like scarred you as a child, but you come back as an adult and you're like,
Dude,
funny.
there's so many like not good
you guys-
jokes in that movie, and then there's like one that just lands perfect.
Have you guys ever watched Tusk before?
No, it sounds like an Ice Age ripoff.
No, it's basically it's a movie where these guys are on a podcast. Oh,
Whoa.
Podcastception.
Roll credits. And they go, and one of the guys gets sent to Canada to like film some guy who like cut his leg off with a samurai sword. Whatever.
Cool.
That guy,
As you do.
that guy dies. Whatever. So he has to find someone new to interview. He finds this old man, and he goes to his house to like talk to him. And like, okay, so it was me, Vexy, Lope, and Tyrell, and Saged. Colton, if you, one of our other Overwatch players.
One of the many random names that most of our viewers probably don't know.
Yeah. Hey, basically the Overwatch guys.
Yeah.
We watched this movie together because I had brought it up originally because I had seen it in like a TikTok before. I was like, have you guys ever heard of Tusk? They're like, no, what is that? Because no one knows what Tusk is. But anyway, this guy goes to this old guy's house and he gets like knocked out. And the old guy turns him into a walrus.
Oh, I know what movie you're
He
talking about now.
puts him in like a skin walrus suit. And you guys want to know the most messed up part? After the movie's concluded, they just leave him as a walrus.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even kill him. They just leave him as a walrus.
When was this made?
It's
It's like 2014.
I thought it was older than that.
No, it's like 2014. Oh, my ID.
I was gonna, the original point I was gonna say is like I'm so disappointed in Pixar as a studio right now
It was 2014.
because Pixar is caught up in the let's do everyone justice, which I'm not against.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're gonna do it right. Look at Princess and the Frog, which is
That
an
was-
absolutely
that was a great movie.
stellar
I
movie.
heard a lot of mixed reviews about Soul.
Okay.
I've heard people saying it's good, but there's also nothing about it that makes me want to watch it.
Like
And
the
I
thing
like
is,
jazz.
the thing is like
It definitely feels more of a like movie you'd watch if you want to like actually sit down and think about like life and stuff
my
like that.
biggest thing is like I'm all for inclusion. I think that more POC should be included in movies. I think there should be more LGBT representation. I hate when it's thrown in just for the sake of inclusion. Like take for example the Star Wars kiss.
Okay.
They had a whole thing.
Here's another thing. We can get onto this tangent because I talk to my dad about this all the time. Another big example of this was this Ghostbusters reboot when it was the full female cast. Terrible. You cannot convince me. I'm not saying it's because the full female cast.
No, it's because it was horribly written.
I think that's what some people get caught up on is like the whole Last of Us 2 controversy. I didn't like the game because I don't like when a game patronizes me and talks down to me for killing people throughout the game, and then we get to the conclusion to the one person I want to kill, and they don't let me do it. Whether it gives me a bad ending or not, I would rather the bad ending to do the thing the game has been making me do all game, whether I wanted to or not. And, like, people got so caught up in it because they're like, oh, you just hate that, like, Abby's big and buff. Or, like, no, I love buff women. I love buff women.
Hey, any buff women out there? Seur's I don't know your Instagram off the top of my head.
I love you all. But no, you hate that. Wow, I just forgot her name. Joel's
Abby.
No.
What's her name? I haven't played that game.
I just forgot her name. I can't believe it.
Oh God, what is her name?
Like, I can't remember her name. Anyway, the main character you play at Ellie.
Ellie.
It's
Ellie.
Yes.
It's Ellie.
Yes,
Ellie.
It's Ellie.
Or they're like, you hate that she. No, I'm bisexual. I love gay people. But I just like, if you want to look at a game that does a great example of like the choices you make, like look at Dishonored.
Oh my God,
Dishonored does that in a great way where it's like, you can have fun with our abilities.
We're best friends
now. You can have fun with our abilities. You can go through and kill them. You're going to get a bad ending. Or like Red Dead Redemption 2, the same thing where it's like, you can go through being an awful person, you're going to get a bad ending. Or you can choose to be good and you can get the good ending.
I want to make a second example of Dishonored because we can make this comparison too. It's releasing the first game that I have to make this statement first though. There was a shift at some point, and I'm sure we can figure out that exact point if we sat here and hash it out.
Yeah.
But it would take us forever. There was a shift at some point where art went from expressing the message that you're trying to get across to trying to push a message.
Yeah.
There's a difference between expressing a message and pushing a message.
I think it's, and like, I'm not one of those radical, social justice. I think it's genuinely when that trend started of people wanting more representation, and so instead of companies thinking about it and doing it in a thoughtful way.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's because companies are all run by a bunch of old white people that don't know how to do anything.
Like I
besides
guarantee,
some old white people
yeah.
stuff.
I mean, look at.
Well, and I bet you could also probably argue that a lot of those big companies don't really care, and they'd rather
they want to do it for the money.
Yes, yeah. They'd rather do that to get the money and to make sure they don't get quote unquote canceled
and
by all these.
And that's the biggest thing is like, I mean, even with Elden Ring. Great new release, and like there's also some people that genuinely just they want inclusion for inclusion. You look at Elden Ring, a game that is made by a Japanese studio that's modeled after Japanese anime and a lot of Western European people are mad because there's not enough quote unquote black hairstyles, and it's like you go look at all the other Dark Souls games, none of them have that, and no one ever complained about it. It's now that people really just want to force inclusion, and it's not even just game companies. It's actual people just want to force inclusion.
You talk about this, and I actually saw something on Twitter because I'm the Nintendo.
Twitter's a cesspool.
Well, it's not even that.
I use Twitter.
I'm not wrong. I'm like the Nintendo nerd of the podcast. Mm-hmm. So I saw this thing. I'm not gonna go too far, but it's like a tweet, and it was a talking about someone tweeted about how we needed a region based in like South Africa or something like that, and then like it got into a whole heated debate, and then someone actually pointed out that all of the regions are based off of locations of current like Nintendo headquarters.
Yeah,
like we've had the first 4
I like the Nintendo headquarters in space personally.
Yeah, but like the first
they don't talk about that on
the first 4 gens were every region was based off of a different island of Japan. And then I don't remember like which fits where else, but then there's like I think Galler's England or France or that area, and then what is it? Kalos I think had the Eiffel Tower. I think that was France, and then so you have Britain, and then one of them's in America, and I can't remember which one. But like they have reason to do this, and people are getting upset because they're like, we want inclusion. Put us in like South Africa. It's like, why?
Here's essentially how.
You know what my biggest problem is, and this might be a really controversial take?
What's that?
Is I think 90% of the push for equality is by white people who just feel bad.
No, you're 100% right.
And like, cause here's
It's
the thing.
white people
Here's the
being
thing.
offended for other
I'm from South Florida.
Mm-hmm.
All my friends, all of them, like, you know, we live in like a ghetto community. When I make this joke all the time. When we have like black people on my lacrosse team, black people don't play lacrosse. That's the joke we always made. But like, all my friends are Puerto Rican. They're all black, and like, none of them like they don't they care. They want inclusion.
Yeah.
But they always hated when it was forced. And like, a lot of it is by like the white apologists that kind of just want to force inclusion.
I guarantee like 80 to 90% of like people of color you could probably just like talk to and they'd be like, yeah, I'm okay, just don't like be blatantly racist to me, just like treat me like you would a normal person.
The biggest thing is like racist turned into such a big thing. Like, I can't even describe people by their race, which is like the one good thing that race is about. Like, I can't, like, I felt awkward yesterday because one of my RAs was like, I heard your director's leaving. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, he is. And he's like, who's that? And I almost felt awkward saying, but it's the tall black dude with short hair.
Yeah.
It's not racist.
It's literally just describing who he is.
It just feels weird now because I've had people call me out and say, hey, you can't say that. And it's always white people.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my challenge to that, which I'm shocked you've run into that in Kansas. But
I've run into it in Florida. Because here's the thing about Florida is
you also
Florida
have to,
is like its own ecosystem.
you also have to remember big cities like just like statistically usually lean liberal, so it doesn't matter which
But we're in Ottawa.
That's true, but like
granted, we're on a college campus.
Yeah, but I'm sure you could probably go up to Kansas City and run into a bunch of people like that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, for my aunt, for example, is really big on social justice, and I love my aunt. My aunt's great. My aunt is super big on social justice, and it's like, she does it in like a really good way though, and like that's what I wanted to use the example for. She does it in like a good way where it's not like overly about it. But if my grandpa, who's outdated, says something, she's gonna be like, you can't say that now, or like, because he's old and outdated a bit. Like, he sometimes doesn't.
I want to point out real quick. It's so wrong, but I love it so much. It's my favorite. Is when old people are racist without trying to be mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like
because that's just how they were raised.
Like, they're really racist and sexist for like no reason.
It's the best. It's
Like,
horrible. It's awful. But it's my favorite.
Sometimes I'll just be sitting there with my grandpa and he'll look over and he'll be like, I would grab her butt, and I'm like, what?
You can't. Yeah,
you can't say that.
Let's get off the heavy-handed stuff for a second. I'll wrap up the conversation by going back to what we were talking about essentially.
Yeah.
As a game studio, when me preaching to game studios, as a game studio, when you're making the decision, we are going to make this character or this situation or this game this. As you do with everything else, your decisions have to have reasons.
Yeah.
Besides, we want this.
Yeah.
Like, we want this as such a that's a good drive for the overall picture when it is when it makes sense.
You know what the
to you as a
greatest
studio.
example of that is in recent memory?
What's that?
Ghost of
Tsushima.
That was a great example.
Beautiful game.
Of even the island was like, wow, you represented our culture in such a great way, and they gave the directors like keys to the city. I don't know what they called it, but they were basically like, that was such a great game. It's like, I think if you
wasn't that made by an American studio too?
It was, but you know what they did?
What?
Every game company
They went
out there. They photographed. They did all that, and they actively were like, hey, we want to put your island in our game. Can you tell us about your culture? What should we put? What should we include? And I think if game studios just did that, like, if you want LGBT inclusion, bring in actual LGBT people to tell you what they want. If you want Black, Asian, Mexican, Puerto Rican, if you want like
people of
color in your game to be represented, bring them in and ask them how they'd like to be represented, and like what would make them feel good and represented.
I guarantee you, not a single one of them would say, I want to be represented as what I am physically, and just end it. And like, I guarantee you, they would be like, I want to be represented as a man as a man with his wife and his 2 children, who maybe struggle a little bit, but we're getting by and we're happy. Like no one wants.
I think the biggest thing about inclusion is that just treat them like normal people.
Yeah.
like I see LGBT inclusion and it feels so forced to me. Like I don't feel. You know who did a really good example of bisexual inclusion or pansexual? I guess it was Schitt's Creek with their son. That was such a great example of bisexual inclusion. They did the analogy of I like red wine, but I also like white wine, and sometimes I want a beer. And like that was such a great just example of wow, this character's gay, and they didn't make it feel forced. It wasn't like his whole personality.
His character wasn't that he was what he was.
It transcended, and like that's what I think games need to do. Is sometimes like a character's whole personality is they're gay or they're black, and that's the whole personality. And then you sit there and you look at it and you're like, okay, I don't feel represent. Like that's why like Black Panther was such a good thing. Is like their thing wasn't just that. Okay, they're black characters. It was like, that's a female warrior who is
powerful,
powerful,
intelligent.
And you have Shuri, who's amazingly smart and rivals Tony Stark and all that. And then you have Black Panther, a guy who's like just completely conflicted with the death of his dad.
But then like on top of that, they also tied it into like an actual like what you could say as an African. I want to say like community.
It had like a lot of African
culture. That's the word.
And that was so great about it. And they tied it in with even like a great social justice of like a tragic. And I didn't like how they handled Killmonger. I think it's really cheesy when you bring in like a character who has like maybe good intentions of like, hey, I want to keep Wakanda separated because like white people screwed us over. But then you make the bad side of it. Oh, but he wants to do it by killing every white person. I hate when people do that. It seems like such a cop-out of, like, anti-heroes with good... Like, you want to see a good anti-hero? Look at Magneto. That's such a good anti-hero. Of, like, just... it was a representation of, I believe, like... because he is Jewish and he did grow up during the Holocaust. It was a representation of that. That's what the mutants kind of represented. They were, like, the Jewish people.
Yeah.
And, like, that was such a good example of, like, just... Okay... I agree with you, Xavier, but I'm gonna do it my way. I think it was also like a representation of like Malcolm X and MLK, of their two different ideological standings.
I just want to say, who would have thought that we were gonna get this deep with Seur?
Honestly, before we started, like there was a good like 15 minutes of setup where Seur was sitting in this chair in front of the mic, just like. You could have convinced me he was just reading lines off of Reddit, and like I would have believed you. But like now we're actually getting like the deep philosophical. That's the word. Philosophical side of
Seur. Here's
the
thing: is like I can talk about it. It's just not something I like to talk about all the time because it gets draining. Like
no one wants to talk about it all the time.
I don't want to talk about social justice and be deep about it all the time. I just like being a funny guy. But it's like, if brought up, I'm more than happy to share my opinions and how I feel about things. And like, surprisingly, I'm actually a very smart person. Like, I don't think.
I'm sure that could arguably be said about a lot of our players on Overwatch. Because if you or not even Overwatch, just like our esports team in general, you could come to like our arena and just see a lot of them like gaming in practice. And, like, just at a glance, you're going to be like, oh, they're just, like, the dumbest people on campus. But, like, if you sit down and actually have a conversation with some of us, there's some stuff that can be said.
I think people, like, also overlook, like, all the messages in gaming, too. Like, people forget that gaming isn't, it's like an art form.
Video games are an art form, yeah.
Like, and I think people overlook that because for the longest time, especially, again, with, like, baby boomers, they equate sitting down to not working. That's why in America you still have cashiers that can't sit down. Do you think any of us would care if we walked up to a cashier and they were sitting down?
This brings me to a fun thing that I had a thought about while I was in Walmart the other day.
Yeah.
Before I'll let you get on that rant, but I'm with Seur here. Just go to the Aldi's method where you like don't have anything.
Go to the Aldi's method and
just imagine how much like Aldi saves with all of that. Like there's no bags. You don't have.
Aldi's is the perfect grocery store.
You can't convince me otherwise.
And like that's the thing is like Americans in general have such a toxic view of like working. Like it's like if you do anything that's not considered hard manual labor, you're not working hard.
There's the part of the Japanese work, not ideology, what am I thinking, culture, I guess, is that in America you fall asleep at your job, oh, you're fired. Like it's such it's such a bad thing.
I know what.
You know what you.
I think I know what you're talking.
In Japan, if you fall asleep at your work, they let you sleep, because if you fall asleep at your job in Japan, they see that as you're working so hard that you've exhausted yourself.
Well, there's also this other thing that it's like, it's not like an official work, but it's like in Japanese culture, I don't remember the exact name of it, but like it's something along the lines of like Tomago or something like that, where you take like a old-fashioned kitchen timer and you set it for an hour, and then you do your work for an hour, and then once that hour goes by, you take like a 15 minute break, and then after the break you do it again, and you repeat until either the end of your work day or whenever you get the work done, which is like they've done research on it, and that's like the efficient way to work.
Yeah,
it's just so weird, because even I worked as a cook. I worked as a chef at a barbecue place.
You were a line cook.
Yeah.
Oh,
I couldn't do that.
I couldn't either.
So
I'm a retail boy.
I worked at the fry station. I sautéed. I made burgers. But anyway, like the weirdest thing about it is, like, unless you're a manager, they didn't let you sit down during your lunch breaks half the time. And like, it's also such a toxic view that, like, even my mom said, yeah, that's why I started smoking. I started smoking so I could go on breaks, because they don't let you have breaks unless it's a smoke break. And, like, I don't smoke anymore. I literally would just go out there and take, like, a puff and just be like, hey, I'm smoking. My bad.
So
I could do it with vapes, because vapes are a thing now, so it's a little bit healthier, but not really.
So this is going to tie into what you're saying, and then it's going to tie into the thing that I was originally going to say. At my job, and I'm not going to name names, not because it's bad, but just because it's not my place to do it.
Yeah.
And it's not even like it's a bad thing. There's a newer manager who is very close in age to me. I think he's like 25 or something. So only like 5 years older than me or whatever. He's a young dude. And I work at an auto parts store where we stand behind the counter. There's no seats. And you just kind of stand there. And if you want to relax while you work, granted, it's a very laid-back work environment, all you can really do is lean against the counter. This manager just sits on the floor. He sits on the floor.
Respect.
Dude, he's the best. I love him.
It's just like the weirdest thing that, like, that's the hill people want to die on, is you're not allowed to sit at work.
It's so dumb. But what this ties back into with the thing about my Walmart trip, grocery shopping is, I love cooking and I love eating. I hate grocery shopping. It's the most boring thing in the world to me, so my mind travels.
Yeah.
I had this thought, and I'm sure I've seen this somewhere. I'm sure this wasn't my thought. But with the younger generations, and I wouldn't even say the youngest generation, I would just say like probably the younger 3 or 4 generations, there's this idea that doesn't exist in like the boomers or the baby boomer or whatever. I don't know that entire hierarchical tier thing. I don't know how it works. I don't care. There's this idea of oh God, I forgot the word for it.
What is it?
I suffered, so you should suffer.
No. It's implied gratitude.
Yeah.
There's this idea between
yeah.
people our age of implied gratitude, where we don't necessarily say thanks to each other all the time. We don't say please. We don't get down on our hands and knees to apologize for certain things.
Yeah.
Because there's implied gratitude. It's, you do something for me, of course I'm thankful. If I weren't thankful for it, I would express it.
It's just kind of weird having to like say, yo, thank you so much, thank you. It's like, I don't even really want people to say that to me.
No, if I do something, like, just be like, hey, thanks, and then that's it.
No problem.
Yeah.
For
that thing for me, like, if I do something for you, and you just start going on and on about, like, thank you, you know, it means so much. Unless it was like a big thing, of course.
Yeah, there's obviously
like,
some things
yeah,
like
there's room.
Like, yeah.
But like if it was just a thing and you're like, oh, let me, I'll make it up to you someday. I promise. I'll write it down. I'm like, just shut up, please. Let me go on with my day.
Like the thing is if I'm gonna do something for you, I mean, I don't mind doing it.
Yeah.
Like if I didn't want to do it, I would just say sorry, I can't help.
Yeah. If I didn't want to do it, I would just say no.
Yeah. If I can do it, I can do it.
But I had this thought because once I finished getting all my groceries, I went into the line to check out, and the person in front of me in the line was an older person, and the person and the checker was a younger person about my age, and what gave me that thought was I saw how the cashier treated that older person, and it was with outward gratitude. It was with a lot of gratitude. Granted, that's what you're trained to do at Walmart, but that's what you're trained to do everywhere. But then I get up to the line, and she's like, how's your day? I'm like, it was good. And then we don't talk. And she checks out my groceries. We get through the line, or we get through everything. And she's like, you have a good day. I'm like, okay, thanks. And then we go. And then that's it.
Well, okay, so as someone who works like retail on the front line, that's kind of something you just pick up with experience.
Oh, yeah, I got that too.
It's kind of like just judging I say judging. It's basically judging like off of, I don't want to say like appearance, but like you
determining the interaction before it happens.
You can definitely tell how someone's going to want to react by like their, I want to say like their, what's the word? Their like stature, their current
how they carry themselves.
Yeah, how they currently like look, and you can kind of tell. Like so, usually you hit them with like the hello, and that basically you've dropped that. Yeah, you've dropped that like 8 times
so
now.
Far.
Good Lord. But it was just a really interesting thing to me that I thought about. And I like having thoughts like that every once in a while.
I think
it gets you thinking.
The only time you should kind of be overly nice is to service workers because they deserve it.
Okay.
I think like,
some service workers.
Some service workers.
I work.
Like to our calf ladies and
Yeah.
the guys in there. They hand me my food, and every single time without fail, I'm like, thank you very much.
I've had some people at
I have
my
full conversations with them.
Yeah.
I go to the calf by myself a lot. And I think people think that's weird, but it's like even I have a social battery. Like sometimes, even though I'm in a crowded space, I want like 15 minutes where I just sit by myself and no one talks to me.
That's the thing. I think I've had this conversation with you about it. I'm really weird about eating in the calf.
Yeah.
Because I prefer eating alone. I like, and it's not just like it's an anxiety thing or it's a whatever. It's like that's just how I've always eaten.
Mm-hmm.
Is that I get my food and I sit down in front of my computer, like the fat hermit I am, and I watch videos and I eat.
Preach.
Yep. But I'll eat in the calf. I'll gladly eat in the calf. I'm not eating in the calf by myself.
No, yeah.
I'm not sitting by myself in
That's
the calf.
that's well. It's
And I get it for you because it's different for everybody. But like I can't do that. I can't go and sit in the cafeteria
my
by
anxiety
myself.
thinks about all those peering eyes and groups judging me for being
It's not
alone.
even that. It's just I don't want someone to come sit down.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm alone. Don't approach me, please, for the love of God.
Yeah, I mean, I can be courteous. Like, I mean, even some of the Overwatch guys will tell you is they'll come over and start to try and have a conversation with me, and I'll be like having my headset on. I'm just like, okay, yeah. Like sometimes it's just like I don't want to talk, and that's just how it is. Like sometimes Tyrell will walk over and like tell me something. I'm like, oh, cool. That's it.
Okay, so we got about 40 minutes until we have to be on class, and I have to stop that recording and get all of this stuff back to the arena. So we want to
say let's do the quick video game news that we always do.
I see you have the Pokemon over there. I was going to talk about that.
Here's the rule: is that at the end of the podcast we do video game news where we talk about video game news.
Can I? It's about a controversial situation, but it's a little funny.
Well, here's
it's really
the thing.
Petty.
So it's video game related, right? Because that's this section now. You pretty much have to do it in as little time as possible.
You get maximum of a minute to get everything out, and then we can have the little not discussion, but like the afterthought.
We are cramming.
Yeah.
Can I say something just real quick before we start this, just because I think it's really funny?
Yeah, go ahead.
And we don't have to go in depth about it because it is a very serious topic, and I feel for everyone out there. But the National Taekwondo Association just sanctioned Vladimir Putin's belt. They took away his black belt. They said he's no longer a black belt, and I just think that's really funny.
That's kind of funny.
That's really funny.
Like I know we really didn't want to talk about all of this because we try.
Yeah, that's why I say we don't gotta go into it.
We try our best to keep politics out of this podcast, but that's.
I just think it's really funny.
I think it's funny.
Well, the other thing I feel like I can mention, Ukraine's been posting some banger tweets.
They have been posting some good memes.
They've been on it for a while.
Yeah.
Ukraine's been on for a while.
Those two, I think we can get away without delving too deep into.
That's all.
I have one last one since we're all including one. And this one's less funny. This one's just really interesting to me because I'm a war buff. Mm-hmm. Switzerland ended its neutrality and they finally cut ties with Russia.
It was like
with
all
285
years.
I actually didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
It's super interesting to me. Yeah. All right, video game news. There's new Pokemon games coming out. Is it Scarlet and Violet? Is what they're called?
No,
I thought that's what it was. Scarlet and Violet. That's what it says here.
Is it Scarlet and Violet?
Yeah, I think so. There's new starters. I don't have their names pulled up. What do you think?
Okay.
I'm ready for that cat to be turned into like a really.
There's
curvy woman
in
its next evolution.
there's already rule 34 of just that.
Of the cat.
Yes.
Why the cat?
Because it's the internet.
I understand, but
I looked it up on the day of
Okay.
launch. There was
I want to know between you guys, which are you picking? Because right now, seriously? You're going your generic cat.
I always go with the water.
Well, here's the thing. I almost always go with fire type because I hate the other types.
I go with water type
I'm going
because
with cat.
Squirtle's my boy.
Okay. Well, no, my favorite thing. Have you seen the model for the water? I've seen a meme on it where it evolves from that to Donald Duck to Scrooge McDuck, and
he's such a classy gentleman.
he is.
He's
He
my
looks
second
so
pick.
good. No, but I'm picking fire because
I gotta go
I
with
like the whole idea where if you look at his model, which I might for video, I might throw it up. He looks like a little chili pepper, and I like the idea that he's gonna grow into a bigger
My
pepper.
most
Yo, who keeps
egregious.
putting slices of Kraft singles on the?
I've seen that one too.
My most egregious example is Low Punny's evolution, where it goes from like a bunny.
Oh,
to,
the
like-
mega so Baneri, Low Punny, and then Mega Baneri.
Yeah, and it goes.
I like
from-
his evolution. I
It
think
goes
it's
to
good.
Low Punny though, and Low Punny
Mhm.
it literally goes from like a normal rabbit to like some weird.
Rule 34.
Yeah, they knew what they were
bunny.
doing.
Yeah.
It's so weird to me.
Damn, this is all.
This
Pokemon.
You know, that's
well,
actually
because,
a stance
because
I wanted.
the other day was Pokemon Day. That's why.
I wanted to take a stance on this, and I was gonna say it during our social justice talk, but I don't think we should stop sexualizing women in games. I just think we should start sexualizing men too.
I agree.
I want to see men in iron chainmail bikinis too.
Yes.
I want to grab a handful of that man butt. All right, like Pyramid Head in DBD. Did you
He
ever?
slim
gosh,
thick.
Oh my
dude.
god.
Dude,
or
or if
like,
you
do
ever-
you guys remember Reaper before they nerfed his
Yes,
butt?
dude.
Oh my god.
Reaper
Do you
was
remember
caked
that? That
up.
makes me think like
Double
we're
caked
back.
up on a
I
Sunday.
kind of go back to female, but there used to be the glitch like early Overwatch where when Widow scoped in,
Oh,
her
it make
butt
her
actually.
no, it was
got
when she
big.
activated her ult.
Oh,
Her
that
butt got
too,
bigger,
yeah. No, but you talk about man. Give me some. Is it Agent 47 from Hitman?
Yeah.
Dude, if you get him in like just shorts and top, he's got.
See, WoW did a perfect example of that. And they're like, and people are like, oh, it's just a but they had a succubus as a warlock pet, right?
Mhm.
They added an incubus now, and it's just some
Amazing.
shirtless guy with a loincloth,
Love
and
it.
I love it.
Love it.
I like it more than the succubus.
So I'm not finding very much good stuff. That's because I'm on Game Informer because I picked a bad website.
You Game Informer.
Well,
I remember I used to have their magazines.
There's like no good video game websites.
I used to have their magazines all the time. I remember
I can like basically summarize most of Pokemon Day because it was like 13 minutes. And
We've reached the end of Pokemon. We got to roll through these quick.
what else do we know about? That's the problem.
I know about everything.
Machine Gun Kelly will be a playable character in WWE 2K22.
You know what? It's always been weird that they keep adding celebrities as playable characters in video games. Like Madden and 2K, for example. They added Quavo as a playable character in 2K. But actually, Snoop Dogg, he's a big Madden guy. They gave him his own customized 99 overall Snoop Dogg character that only he has.
Mhm.
I have to bring this up, and I'm so pissed that this isn't in any other game, any other COD game. Is when Snoop was an announcer for Ghosts.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, I
That
remember
needs to
that.
come
And the
back.
problem was that Ghost sucked.
Well, okay. Here's the thing.
Ghost
Ghost was not a great COD game. I don't think it was.
It was not. It was.
You know what my
It was
favorite,
far from bad.
You know what my favorite COD game is, and
What?
no one else thinks so?
What?
Advanced Warfare.
Yeah, your opinion's wrong.
I love it.
That was worse than Ghost. No,
No.
better than Ghost.
I think Advanced Warfare out of all the jetpack games was by far the best.
I like Black Ops 3.
Black Ops 3 was pretty good.
Black Ops 3 was pretty good. But Infinite Warfare was bad.
That's worse than Ghost. That's
Infinite
why I
Warfare
don't
was
say
really
Ghost
bad.
was.
No, I gotta get a
Infinite
different
Warfare
website.
was
This
really
one
bad.
sucks.
I mean, apparently it's a controversial opinion. I didn't think so.
Yeah, it
I
is.
thought-
Everyone
I
hates
thought-
Advanced Warfare.
No, a different one is. I said that Modern Warfare was better than.
The new Modern
The
Warfare.
new Modern Warfare was better than Cold War and Vanguard. And apparently that's a controversial opinion. I thought it was...
Multiplayer, I can see it.
The only problem with multiplayer Modern Warfare was that it was a quick TTK.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only problem
The only reason I put Cold War on top of Modern Warfare, in my book at least, is because the zombie story was actually pretty good in Cold War.
Yeah, the zombies was pretty good in Cold War.
And plus,
Vanguard is just bad, I've heard.
Oh.
Did you know?
Yeah, Vanguard's just bad.
Actually, gaming news. Did you know that Microsoft plans to make the next Call of Duty, first off, not a yearly thing.
Mhm.
Second off, they're trying to make it zombies based.
Okay,
Not-
so here, this is some news I can talk about because I've heard like 8 different sources about this.
Mm-hmm.
Where first off, Warzone is going to become its own separate engine, its own separate game.
Which it should.
It
Yes.
should.
They're also talking about a strictly Call of Duty multiplayer game and a strictly zombies game. So I've heard all 3 of those are in the works. I've also heard different things about which is coming first, but I have heard that like solely zombies game is like what a lot of people think.
The
is
weird thing is that people always complain about not playing the campaign, but the one year they did Call of Duty without the campaign, people complained that there was
Everyone
no
cried.
campaign in it. I love the Call of Duty campaigns.
Oh,
personally.
Even if they're bad, they're
Even
fun.
if
Yeah.
they're bad, they're fun.
Dude, Train Go Boom,
Yeah.
it's the best.
like the one where
No,
my favorite thing
no
was
Russian.
the outrage. My favorite thing, I saw a meme where it's like, imagine Ronald Reagan calling you a they them before, because in Cold War you could be a they them, and they're like, imagine Ronald Reagan calling you they them before telling you to go commit war crimes.
So good. I have to get this quick one out of the way because I know I'm going to mention this and then we're going to immediately jump to another topic.
Mm-hmm.
In the next season of Forza Horizon 5, they're adding the 1985 Cobra Mustang SVO.
I like the little 3-wheel car they have.
The Peel?
Yeah.
Dude, like I could do a whole video essay over why the Forza Horizon series is the best car.
Need for Speed.
I have my reasons above Need for Speed.
I like
Need for Speed is good.
I liked Burnout. Burnout was great.
I could do a whole video essay over it, and I'm obviously not going to do it now.
I
'cause we don't have
played
time.
one. I played the cops.
Video essay 1 minute go.
Video. Okay, so literally with the original outlook of developing the Forza Horizon games was to turn gamers into car people and car people into gamers, and I don't think they've missed that mark with a single game. There are people that I know that are like, we had this conversation.
Mhm.
There are people that I know that are like, yeah, I'm kind of interested. There's kind of some funny things that I've seen online, and it looks kind of I've never really cared about cars before, but I kind of want to look into it, and I'm like, it's on Game Pass. Just go get it.
Game Pass is such a great thing.
It's an
by the
amazing
way.
deal. But it's because as much as I love the Need for Speed games, they're weird to me.
20 seconds.
20 seconds. Yeah, I don't know. The Need for Speed games are arcade racers. They're just flat out arcade racers. Whereas Horizon sits adjacent to the middle, where they lean a little bit harder towards arcade than they do sim racer. But I think it's a fantastic game for anyone looking to get into cars because the entire point of like, believe it or not, Horizon has a story. I think I've talked about this before.
Yeah, it does.
And it like I mean like overarching story, and it's weird. I think it's a fantastic way because the entire point of like the Horizon Music Festival is to celebrate music and to celebrate the automobile. I think it's a fun thing.
Oh.
All right, moving on from that now.
I have a question. We're having trouble finding gaming news.
We're never good with
I mean, here's the thing.
Well, it's because I always forget to take
Here's
notes.
the thing. Here's the thing.
This
Like we
segment
could
is
each have a 1-minute discussion on it, each of us. What is your guys' least favorite gaming studio? I think for me, because I already had this planned out because I was thinking of it, I hate EA.
Oh, yeah.
I think EA is by far the most egregious example.
I think.
I mean, if you look at Anthem, they completely butchered a game that had such a cool concept of you're literally Iron Man. And there's so much things that you could just go around and blow up and just pew, pew, pew. And they butchered it. Mass Effect Andromeda coming out of... They abandoned Mass Effect Andromeda for Anthem. And because of that, instead of making one good game, and then they made 2 bad games. And I like Andromeda. I think it had a lot for it. The problem is it became an unfinished game. Because there's a whole major overarch of... There's 2 alien ships that are missing containing, like, a whole bunch of aliens.
You got like 30 seconds, by the way.
And you never get resolved for that. And, I mean, you look at Madden 2. That's become such a cash grab game.
Isn't that just the company in general, though? EA is.
It is. It's such a cash grab company. And people still buy their games and spend money on it, and it's just such a weird thing. I mean, Star Wars Squadrons, such a good game. They abandoned it because they couldn't make money off microtransactions in it, so they abandoned the game.
I'm so mad when they released how they were doing VR with that game, by the way. It was so sad. Because
Anyway,
that's a VR game.
That was my 1 minute.
I forgot that was a VR
Yeah,
game.
I know, right?
was
It's not good.
Because
it's
that was
controller only.
That was one of those I thought about trying because when you see like the concept videos, you think you hold like your
Apparently-
controller like a joystick.
Apparently, the Hitman VR game is super bad.
It's awful, but it's so much fun.
Because
Okay,
because they
so-
have the thing where you can still move in your space, but you actively move away from your body. You don't stay in Agent
Okay,
47's
so
body.
so from what I've heard,
I think it was built
is-
for PlayStation VR,
Probably.
Yeah.
and then
From-
they ported it to PC.
From what I have heard, there are a few exceptions, but most of like the big title games that get transferred to VR just aren't good.
I think it's just hard, and they don't put enough time into it. They just want to release.
It's because they never put their
Take
they never put their main team on
Skyrim
it.
for example.
Oh yeah, Skyrim VR is a
You couldn't
monstrosity.
control your own sword. It just had the basic animations. You had to install mods to make the game work. And
But-
again, that's Bethesda in general, but usually the mods are like, haha, that man flew 40 feet in the air, haha, funny. Not, I literally can't play the game.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Normally the mods
let's
are
be-
I'm playing Mario Brothers in Skyrim.
Yeah, I was
That's actually
gonna
good
say.
mods.
Let's be honest. Skyrim is like mods.
Bethesda games,
Yeah.
you're not meant to play Bethesda games vanilla.
You can play through it once, and then after that, you're like, okay, I gotta install 700 mods.
The original thing that you brought up, studios that we hate. By the way, we can run on time a little bit. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I'd say like.
I do wanna-
15 more minutes.
Yeah, I do want to get to the calf too.
But studios that we just hate right now. Not Rockstar, the company that owns Rockstar,
Yeah.
company that bought Rockstar.
Speaking of Rockstar, they have confirmed GTA 6.
I'm scared.
We
though.
don't have a time. I think they said by 2030.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
was
But-
that? What about the GTA definitive release or the?
That's my
trilogy
thing.
release?
Is that like it's
don't
so
get
clear.
Lucas started. We had
It's-
this conversation.
It's so clear that the company that bought Rockstar is just puppeting a corpse at this point. Like Rockstar used to be amazing. Rockstar used to be like the de facto open world game company. Yeah, you had stuff like the original couple of Grand Theft Auto games. You had Bully.
Bully
was
was-
fantastic.
Bully's a good game.
You had Red Dead. And I think Red Dead Redemption 2 was like their last.
I think Red
Yeah,
Dead Redemption 2 was far better than the first one. Far better.
It's far better, but it didn't. The intro didn't need to be 3 hours.
The intro was really long. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it was just.
They were going for art. and
They
did it
have
well.
it. They have a lot of sections in Red Dead 2 that draw out a bit. I've even been playing through it, and I'm like, I'm kind of sick of this. I've been looking at cutscenes and riding my horse for an hour. It's fine in some spurts, but it's definitely a game it's one of those games you sit down and you complete once a year, not once a month. You know.
Once a year is even a lot for that
Once
game.
a year is a lot for that, because even I completed it once, bought it on PC, played through the tutorial, played halfway through it, quit, and I've just now come back to it like a year later. So it's more like you play half of it every year, and then you stop, and then you go and play the next half, and you got to remember all the controls.
My other most hated game company is EA. They killed Mirror's Edge. All right, your turn.
They did.
Honestly, I've never really thought about this that much.
Just say EA.
Just say EA. It's EA.
Just say EA.
It's
No
EA,
one
and
likes
if it's not
EA.
EA, it's Activision Blizzard.
I think I just had this. Oh, I was just thinking about this, and I completely forgot.
Oh, no.
It's actually so tragic. It's
Oh,
actually
no.
a really good point too, and I completely forgot about it.
All right, hit me with it.
I don't remember.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was such a good point too, and I just can't remember. I gotta sit here and just think about it now until I can remember, because that's gonna bug me. I'm gonna remember it after we finish the
Probably.
podcast.
Do you have any other big news we really need to know about, Lucas?
I talked about Gran Turismo last time.
Yeah.
I remember. Just because we're speaking of a game, Cyberpunk 77 is actually great now.
It's still a buggy mess.
Yeah, if you can play through the bugs, it's a pretty good
I think-
experience.
But that's how it was before.
The bugs the only bugs I've had problems with, I've had a lot of audio bugs.
I've been having a lot of animation bugs.
Animation is weird, and I've had a ton. My biggest thing is always the audio bugs and it's like a jarring thing, because all sound will cut out, and everything that happened in the last 30 seconds plays at once, and it just blows your headphones out.
It makes me so upset, because CD Projekt Red is obviously like a really good games company. Like they put out some bangers.
Baby.
They put out some banger games.
Dragon Age.
Yeah, the other stuff that they've made that I forgot about. I don't normally play their stuff.
Witcher 3.
That what makes me so like divided on Cyberpunk, and I love Cyberpunk. I'm starting another run through
I
now.
am
That,
too,
yeah.
because they updated all the stuff.
Like I never beat the game originally just because it was to the point where it was like
I
I got so distracted with how broken the game
I
was.
bought it and I played through a bit. The thing with me though is I didn't buy into the hype. I had no idea what the game was about.
Yeah.
I just heard a bunch of people buying it, so I was like, sure. So I went into it without expectations, and I was pleasantly
Keanu
surprised.
Reeves is in it, and he calls you samurai.
I hate Keanu Reeves as an actor.
I don't think he's a very good actor.
I
but
think
he's
he literally. We have like one-dimensional actors. He has one tone of voice.
Yes, but it works, and I love it.
He just mumbles. Like, we talk about characters that play themselves. Keanu doesn't play himself. He plays a weird, edgy... He
plays John Wick and everything.
He plays, like, the self-insert edgy character of himself.
But here's the thing. I love that.
Hey, Keanu, if you ever somehow see this podcast and you want to come on to defend us, hit us up.
But I love that for him. Because there are actors that do that.
Okay.
There are only like 2 actors that I think can pull off playing themselves.
Ryan Reynolds.
Okay, 3 actors that can pull off playing themselves really well.
Does Ryan Reynolds? Well, I guess you could say he does.
Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Reynolds in everything.
That's true.
Ryan
And
Reynolds.
it works because Ryan Reynolds is genuinely like a really funny guy.
Unless it's Green Lantern, and you somehow
That's
find
not
a way to
because they made him not play Ryan Reynolds in that.
Essentially, what you do with Ryan, I'm gonna just very short thing, and then I'm gonna get to my point. Essentially, what you do with Ryan Reynolds, you say, "Here's the script, have fun," and then you don't tell him anything else.
Yeah.
But it's Ryan Reynolds, it's Keanu Reeves, and then it's John Cena.
I
think John Cena is a phenomenal actor. He's definitely glowed up since Fred.
Can't say I've ever seen him.
I think he was funny in Fred too.
He was hilarious.
He was the best part of Fred.
He was the only good part of Fred. But that was very early John Cena acting.
You can't tell me anyone would have watched the Fred movie without John Cena.
I would have because I knew it was going to be a steaming pile of shit.
So speaking of that, how do you guys feel about movies starting to like celebrate their actors more than the actual movie?
I think if the actor is worth celebrating, then it's fine.
Because I don't know if you've seen it. They're releasing a new not Pets movie, but like a pet superhero movie. And one of the posters has Dwayne Johnson in just huge letters, taking up 90% of the poster. And then below it, in tiny font, is the actual name of the movie.
I think it's fine if the actor is worth celebrating. I think Dwayne Johnson was worth celebrating probably 3 years ago. Not because he did anything bad or anything that would make me think less of him, but I just don't care about Dwayne Johnson anymore.
He was funny at the Super Bowl, though.
He was funny.
He was good at the Super Bowl.
But I was going to say about John Cena, if you want, like, amazing John Cena acting, Suicide Squad.
Peacemaker show.
And Peacemaker, which is it's phenomenal.
I haven't watched it.
It's
I don't have Disney
We've
Plus.
seen the clips, obviously, but
I've seen the clips. I don't have Disney Plus.
It's phenomenal.
Or I don't have HBO.
Yeah, he's such a good actor now.
Oh yeah, I was thinking of Book of Boba. Is what I was thinking of.
You also have to give a lot of credit to James Gunn because like I haven't seen it either, but I've seen some clips and like everyone.
James Gunn is a really good director.
He's such a good director, and like I'm not saying John Cena wouldn't be able to rock that role without James Gunn, but I definitely feel like James Gunn helps him. Like just more smoothly fit into that role.
He's done great on every project he's been on superhero wise.
I think he's done good on most of the stuff he's been in.
Yeah.
I don't think there's really a role that I can think of that he's been in that's been like poor, like bad. But I think he's really like improved as an actor over time.
Yeah.
Just because like you look at what he was in, and granted it was Fred. You look at what he was in Fred, and he was playing a character of himself. And it wasn't.
He was playing John Cena.
Yeah, it was John Cena playing John Cena.
Yeah, because he was doing the wrestler.
Yeah, it was John Cena the person playing John Cena the character.
He has years of acting experience.
Oh yeah.
Because WWE is all acting.
Oh yeah.
And he can rap.
Yeah, he has physical acting with like he has presence acting. He doesn't have a huge amount of like vocal acting.
Again with the 5-knuckle shuffle.
But it's amazing. But he's just improved so much. Another thing I wanted to bring up before we end the podcast, because I saw this morning.
Last
Can I ask one quick question? Have you guys both watched WWE?
Yeah.
I have.
What's your favorite wrestler? I like Shawn Michaels.
Currently or all time?
All time. I love Shawn Michaels.
Brock Lesnar, because he's a walking wall of flesh.
Brock Lesnar.
I used to be a big John Cena fan, but then I started falling in love with Rey Mysterio.
I love Rey.
The 619 is such a fun move to watch.
Because he swings around the ropes and boom. I also really like Randy Orton.
I just like Brock Lesnar because when you throw Brock Lesnar in the pit with anybody, it's like you're just throwing a bear.
I just want to say, it always felt super disrespectful that like they marketed I just literally just said his name.
Rey Mysterio, John Cena, Randy Orton.
Randy Orton. They marketed him as the Legend Killer. That was his whole thing coming out. They wanted him to beat The Undertaker, be the first one to officially. And sure, he's lost, but he's never lost.
Yeah.
But they wanted him to be the first one to officially beat him in a match, and he declined, saying, "No, the Undertaker's legacy is just there. I don't want to."
And it is. It's amazing.
And Brock Lesnar just straight up took it. He's
Yeah.
like, "Sure, I'll beat him."
It's 'cause
Like
Brock,
that, and that always just felt
Brock
super.
Lesnar doesn't have a brain. It's all meat up there.
And I don't know. That just it always felt disrespectful that they even had like Undertaker beat ever. That felt super disrespectful. They decided to do that. That's what made me fall in love with Shawn Michaels. Was they had a bunch of matches against each other because Shawn Michaels was the Heartbreak Kid. He was the guy with all the lights, the angelic theme, and then they had Undertaker, the exact opposite. That was.
I feel like you really can't have you can have like the perfect season, but I do feel like that was probably the only realistic way that you could have ended his career truly.
Yeah.
But like, it shouldn't have been Brock.
No,
Lesnar.
it should.
It should have been anyone else.
Literally.
I genuinely think it still should have been John Cena, or it should have been Randy Orton. It should have been someone established.
I don't think it should have been John Cena because I think John Cena stepped
I
away.
I think it should have been like one of the new ones who are actually like you're bringing Brock Lesnar up as a villain now, but like
I'm not even bringing Brock Lesnar up as a villain.
not
He's
you, but
big.
like WWE.
Brock Lesnar is what happens in gladiatorial combat when you throw your gladiators against
I'm talking
a bear or a lion.
I'm talking like
whatever
the
you pull off
script.
the street.
I'm talking more like the scripting of WWE where they've kind of built him up as like the villain. But like if you're gonna do that,
Meathead McGee.
yeah, use like one of your new people. Like what was
He's
that?
one of the interesting villains.
Yeah, like
Brock Lesnar's not interesting. He's interesting because
like,
he's funny.
Seth Rollins or like what I don't remember what that group used to be called. It's been so long. Or the other like the Wyatt brothers. One of those three. One of those as a villain to end his arc would have been really cool because I know they've got like a similar aesthetic where they're like creepy hillbilly-esque. Like I could imagine like that almost being like the passing of reins of like the terrifying like big bad villain of WWE. But
one last quick tangent before we go, just because I wanted to ask this: what's the biggest animal you guys think you could take in a fight? I guarantee I could sleep a gorilla.
No.
No, actually, I guarantee I could sleep a black bear.
Someone remind me how big that child Harambe dealt with was.
Oh, he was like this big. He's like 4 years old.
I mean, you could pass for a 4-year-old. At least in a gorilla's
I guarantee
eye.
I could sleep a grizzly bear.
I'm dead no matter what I fight.
You know what? Okay, unironically and no joking, give me a ladder. I guarantee you I could knock a giraffe out. I guarantee you give me one solid punch, I'm sleeping a
You give him a punch and then RKO his
That's
neck
not
through
even
its...
fair on the giraffe though, because giraffes don't fight back.
No, they slap you with their necks. You ever seen the giraffes fight?
Well,
They go
yeah,
like,
but that's what they're fighting
Give
with
us,
giraffes.
give us a Seur and a Seur and a giraffe.
I'm taking on the Ninja Turtles.
No,
I
I want to see a TLC match, tables, letters, and chairs. And Seur's only win condition is if he can RKO a giraffe, his neck goes through the table and breaks it.
I guarantee I could beat a giraffe.
To wrap up on the last thing that I was gonna say, that we got sidetracked on, the Steam Deck is being shipped.
Yes.
People are getting their Steam Decks
Wasn't Gabe Newell out there?
That's what I'm getting to. Gabe Newell, supposedly, there's been a lot of evidence pushing towards it, but I've also seen people saying it's not real. Gabe Newell supposedly is hand-delivering Steam Decks in the Seattle area.
That would be kind of awesome.
What I did see is that people are saying, like, oh, it's a delivery man that looks like him. But it's a dude wearing the Steam Deck shirt and hat with Gabe Newell's beard and Gabe Newell's hair and Gabe Newell's body.
Shout out to Gabe Newell.
Shout out to Gabe Newell.
Gaben, praise Gaben.
Gaben.
He's done, like, weird, like, why would you do that things before, like,
He's just
in
a
the
weird
past.
guy.
But he's never done anything that I'm like, oh, I think less of you now.
He's just a weird guy.
Yeah, Gabe's great. I love Gabe.
Gaben.
I love Gabe.
Well, I think that's the end of our podcast.
All right, before we end it off, Sir, as the guest, you get to plug your stuff.
I mean, I'm pretty much Seur 101 spelled anywhere. It's SEUR. So just that followed by 101. Yeah, I'm very active on Twitter.
I always make
Unfortunately.
make fun of the guests for spelling stuff because I put it in the description regardless, but I just like hearing them spell it.
Sometimes people just like to hear it though. Audio listeners,
That's
You
true.
put a description on a Spotify.
Yeah.
they're not gonna read it.
Yeah,
That's true.
That's the thing, is that people aren't gonna go down and read it. Like, you can link it, but and they'll click the links if they want to. They won't read it. I never read things that. I'm the type of person where you can split things on YouTube bars now. If they have their ad split, I just skip straight to the end of the ad. But nah, that's
Reading's for yellow bellies.
pretty much. But nah, that's it.
Ads are for
That's it
yellow
for me.
bellies.
That's all my socials. It's literally SEUR101.
Is there anything else you want to tell the fine people of our? What I think last time I checked, we're up to 14 listeners now. So
Dang.
That I'm the greatest Overwatch off tank of all time.
I was waiting for that.
Currently ranked top 10 on Overbuff for Sigma. Not that Overbuff matters or is a viable
Sigma?
stat. Yeah.
I'm shocked it wasn't.
Here's the thing, and like, call me overly cocky, and some people will say I'm overly cocky and overly confident. I truly believe that out of everyone in the whole collegiate league, I'm the best Sigma. Out of that, you could take any other Sigma in collegiate league, and I guarantee you put me on a team against them, and I will be better than them.
You heard it here first. Sir Sigma 1v1's open to anyone that wants to participate. I've been Lucas. That's been Hayden. This has been Sir. Thanks for joining the podcast.
Bye.
I even get to outro myself.